Oh, okay.
Hi, Joanne. It's Kate.
Hi, Kate. I was afraid I wasn't doing this correctly because the Zoom changed since I last used it.
Me too.
Yeah, now I think they can probably hear us.
Okay.
You might want to tell them to mute.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I don't know if you could hear me earlier. My name's Barbara Rachelson. This is the Legislative Committee on Judicial Rules. It's Friday, December 12th. If our people on Zoom could mute, that would be great. We'll do quick introductions and then get started with our very full agenda. So Representative Burdett, do you want to start with introduction? No, you just took a bite of a cookie. Let's start on the other side.
You want to start? We're asking to introduce it.
Sorry. Yeah, Tom Burdett, rep from West Rutland and vice chair of House Judiciary.
Ian Goodnow, Wyndham 9 Brattleboro, a newbie on House Judiciary.
But not a newbie to the judiciary.
Yeah, well,
Allison Clarkson, Windsor District Senator.
Barbara Rachelson, Chittenden 14, which is part of Burlington. I'm on House Judiciary.
Martin Malone, Chittenden 12, South Burlington, chair of the House Judiciary Committee.
Randy Brock, Senator representing Franklin County and Northern Grand Isle County.
Great. And we have our very helpful counsel and legislator. Oh, Nader, thank you.
Hey, Nader Hashim, Senator from Wyndham County, Chair of Senate Judiciary.
Wonderful. So let's start. We have an interesting agenda for today that includes both emergency rules that have been promulgated, some proposed rules. We will have witnesses later on, and it's great that we're meeting now because there's a lot of rules that would go into effect in January. So let's start off with the first agenda item, and the Honorable Catherine Kennedy is presenting the emergency rule.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I also have Judge Ertel here. Judge Ertel is a retired probate judge and the recorder for us on the probate rules. I don't know if there are specific questions, if you want me to go rule by rule. Of course, we've been working on these for a long time, so the reasons why and the explanations are quite obvious to me, so I'm not quite sure from the outsider's eye what it is you'd like me to focus on.
It would probably be helpful if you just did a quick summary of like why the rule, given that it's been months since we met and not everyone probably will remember them well.
So probate rule 80.3 is our rule for small estates, and this is just a fix for reference, the reference in the affidavit procedure, which is section G. We needed to update because we had updated other sections. We missed this section, so it's simply a make a 4 a 5 and make a 5 a 6. There really is no other difference other than making sure that the numbers match. So I think that's the easiest one. I don't know if are there any questions about the small estate affidavit G? No. Okay,
No.
good. Way to start me off with an easy one here. All right, the next one, I believe on our agenda is 54. At least that's one I have on my list here.
Yeah.
54A.
Okay, 54A. So in the reporter's notes is a great way to start here. There has not been clarity regarding what is an appealable order from the probate division. It has just been final order. We have been using case law to then determine what is a final order. And we thought it might be best to assist litigants, both in probate. We have a lot of pro se litigants. And so this is, what is a final order to a lawyer? That might mean something or multiple things. but it certainly is not helpful for a pro se litigant as well. So we're always thinking of the pro se litigants in probate rules. And we developed this list. It is not exhaustive. It is, of course, include but are not limited to the 12, at least, examples of orders that come out that can be deemed as a final and therefore appealable. And again, it's judgment. It's final judgment is the term versus order. So any questions on these?
Questions, anyone? No. Thank you.
Okay. And Judge Ortel, feel free to interrupt me if I'm missing something on any of these, please. All right. The next one is Rule 4. So Rule 4 is always large and nasty. This was really difficult to fix this rule, or what we felt was fix this rule. The ability to use return receipt requested or to have something be proven to be served through the US mail changed significantly, largely during COVID. We were getting the green cards back with just an X on them or a non-deliverable, or all kinds of new things occurred. And so we've been having to be creative in the probate world. I'm sure all of the dockets as to what it means to serve someone by mail or what can be considered complete service. Attorneys out there have been using FedEx and some other commercial carriers, and those were not considered in the rule. And some courts have been requiring you send something out both first class mail and certified mail. And if the first class mail does not get returned, but the certified mail is never returned, there is at least some basis to believe you have the correct or proper address. And then the rule goes on to try and find other creative ways that are not just creative, but real world. We have litigants who are family members, typically in probate, or know each other, and they know maybe not the person's address, but they use Facebook. And is there a way we can integrate using social media? Sometimes the only way to find someone when you know you had a distant third cousin somewhere in Indiana is to try and find them through a social media search. And so we were really trying to ensure that we are sticking to notice and service, but in a world that is greater than just the green cards on certified mail. Plus, the definition of certified mail has changed in the US Postal Service. So that's what this rule tries to accomplish, which is give us alternative methods. The prior rule in probate is different than some of the other dockets. It did allow for judges to make decisions as to alternative means. Well, now we've just spelled out a little bit more as to what those potential methods are.
Some questions.
Yes. Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, so how is newspapers of general circulation defined? Do we have any of those left in the state?
We do. And that is not a new part of the rule. We've been using newspapers, as you can imagine, far longer than the other means. But yes, there are definitely newspapers of general circulation, certainly sitting in Orange County. When it is a Vermonter, I see the Herald used quite frequently, which is a newspaper here in Randolph. I see the World, the Times Argus, the Valley News. Those are all newspapers locally that tend to be used. I'm sure over in Rutland, you've got a handful of papers down in Windham. And then, of course, when we're talking about out of state, so finding that cousin in Indiana, we can just make a determination as the judge as to what is a newspaper in that circulation in that area, if in fact the order is to publish in an outside of Vermont jurisdiction, or even internationally. We've had cases that I have a case right now. It's we're serving repeatedly or attempting service through newspapers in Germany. And it's difficult, but that's what we do.
And I assumed, I mean, because the previous rule specifically talked about where the petition was filed and or such other location, presumably to try to track down anybody who'd be interested in it. And I assume that we don't have to spell that part out in this rule, that that's understood by the probate judge.
I think it is, and I think it certainly hasn't been, that was not a issue that came to, or that has ever come before me as to what does that mean as far as a definition for that. I don't know if Judge or Tell, if you want to add anything to the newspaper clauses.
I'm not sure I understood your question.
Well, just, I think the previous rule gave some guidance to the probate judge as far as which newspaper of general circulation, and there's no real guidance, but I'm assuming that the probate judge is going to exercise appropriate discretion as far as figuring out where people of interest might be located.
I would assume that would be true. And I recall when I was probate judge, I remember at least one instance where a litigant wanted to serve in a newspaper, which obviously wasn't going to provide notice. Maybe that, I don't know if that was the intent or not, but I overrode that request to make sure that it was published in a newspaper where the interested person would be most likely to receive notice.
So Martin, we have newspapers record. We deal with that all the time in GovOps where we're required, and our digital media is always wanted to be included as a newspaper of record, which is always an issue, as it were.
But this is a little bit different. I mean, this is not a newspaper of record. This is a newspaper that's aimed at getting at the interested parties. That's all.
Exactly. And social media that's interested at getting at parties. So I think your addition of the social media is essential because that may be exactly how you find them.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I would also add that the rule was circulated to the Vermont Bar Association for 60 days. And I don't believe, Judge Kennedy, we received any comments or objections. So I assume that was tacit approval by the bar of the proposed changes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
This was a rule that took us, this was in and out of subcommittees. I don't remember how many years we've been working on this, but this has been
a long time, I think.
This has been, and it's been a long time in the making, but it's a big task. And we're happy we finally were able to get to this point. And maybe that's why we were getting lots of requests to look at this rule. So maybe now that's why it's quiet from the bar.
So other questions?
Very, very brief one. I'm on page 3 of the proposed changes in new subdivision E, proof of notice, term of service. The additional, it says a person responsible for service by mail, and then the changes are commercial carrier, email, text message, or social media. Are the email, text message, or social media examples for the service by other means section number 4, that could be another way someone is served?
Gosh, I can't find where you are.
Or am I misunderstanding it?
No, you're understanding it correctly. Yes,
Okay.
and the purpose of E is to give responsibility as to who is obligated to present to the court the evidence that service has occurred or attempted or it's been returned. But yes, you're right on that.
Okay, so it's not, so they would have to have a order from some sort of motion from the court allowing them service by text message, and then they would have to file something saying, file a certificate of service that said, I texted this person and they have sufficient notice. That's the only way they can serve by text message.
Right, because the court is going to need some indicia of that's the person that they say they are, that's the phone number, that's recognizable. That's why there's going to be some work to be done. It's not as simple as for a litigant to say, I text my brother. Okay, how do we know it was your brother? That kind of thing. So yeah, that's right.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I want to make sure it's sufficient for, we can't just search.
And there's some other guidance. There's some other guidance further on in the rule about the evidence, or the proof that's required if you're using email or text. Talking about copy of the text or tracking evidence, or just to give some, not complete, but to give some guidance as to what will be required if you use an alternative means.
Good. Any other questions?
Do we need to vote on this? No.
This one is proposed,
Let's
so,
do this.
so we don't, but we do need to go back to the promulgated ones, and the question I need to be asking is, do we have any objections?
Right.
So before we jump ahead, did anyone have any objections on the emergency rule number 1? Because that also has been promulgated.
No.
No, okay. How about number 2? Did anyone have any objections to the changes for 54A?
Nope.
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 Great.
And then the rest are proposed.
Yes.
And we're still in.
So now we're up to proposed rule number, the 4th item on the agenda.
Oh, our favorite, electronic filing.
13.
Oh, I had one more. I have, I
you-
think Rule 13.
Yes.
No, not electronic. Yet.
Sorry.
13, yes. Yes. I just
So
said that.
I'm on
So
13.
Yes.
13 has to do with spousal elections and other
Right.
elections. We've been operating in one of those modes where our statutes were revised, our rules weren't, our case law were kind of over here. So case law's over here, rules are here, and statutes over here. And we were trying to, again, this has been a couple years in the making of trying to figure out how to put in rule what we're actually doing. The statute maybe needs to be looked at again, but that's another issue and not why I'm here today. And so this was a way to put into effect what is in case law required, what is the statute required, and also some guidance for when you're practicing in probate, how to properly use the elections. And it's a complicated one, so I'm available if anybody has any other questions about these spousal elections and family elections. It's a complicated part of our docket.
All right. Does anybody have a question right now?
Well, I have a question, given that Joanne had mentioned the opportunity for the attorneys to weigh in. The attorneys all come for due on the 6th. Kate, any comments that are worth note, or anything that would have made you rethink this?
Receive no comments.
Wow. Is that unusual? Is that unusual to receive no comments on things?
Usually the comments I get, and I think are comments that we get from the bar to all of us members saying, please work on this. And then when we've worked on it, we don't necessarily hear back saying, oh, good, thanks. It's just, or, oh, wait, how about this part? I mean, occasionally we get 1 or 2, but this is not a comment heavy driven, not a docket, but you know what I'm saying.
Sort of like legislators. That's sort of our life, Kate. We
Right.
get lots of comments about when things are not working, but do we get thank you? Not often. Just saying.
Yes.
And I think this area of the law, spousal rights and homestead rights, is so confusing that a lot of attorneys may not necessarily, I hate to say this, understand it. It's just,
Possibility.
it's a morass.
It's also
shit.
a very old part of our law. So, the spousal elections in general kind of make everybody's head spin just at the idea of them. So it's a difficult one.
It's just a reminder how many rights spouses have.
All right. So any other questions or comments?
So Joanne, are you saying that this helps clarify what is a morass and it will no longer be a morass?
No, I think we hope it helps clarify it, but it still is a morass. I think in part that some of it dates back to, age, dower and curtsy and all these antiquated ideas where the thought was that the spouse and the wife in older times that needed to be protected. And the rule
Right.
was originally drafted, or the statutes were drafted to protect the wife.
Right.
And they really could, particularly the homestead statute, could really benefit from a review by you all.
Okay.
Oh, that needs to be, well,
The leg-
Martin, in case your docket wasn't full enough.
Or Otter is on.
Oh, and Notter's right. Notter's here.
The Senate starts with-
Oh, no, Notter's too busy with some other things that are very pressing.
Oh,
Otter's very busy.
Okay, so that we will take note about the.
Deadline is done, but yours isn't, Martin.
But we could have a.
So Joanne, you're saying this could bear with some legislative scrutiny, the
Yes,
homestead piece.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think everybody on the Rules Committee was in agreement on that, right?
Wow.
Okay, so there's,
We'll
Absolutely.
look forward to,
I hate to say this, but if you would be willing, if you two would be willing, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for Nodder and Martin, but I am.
Not willing, whatever it is you're gonna say.
Well, I mean, it may not be for this year, but it may be for next year. Maybe we need to be clear on what needs to be clarified, and a proposal needs to be made to clarify it that we can then work with. Either that or a task force to look at it.
So I will await for the proposed language from the probate bar and from the probate judges. There you go.
Is that fair?
I
Yes,
will
and
reach out to Terry, who I see in the audience there.
to Terry, okay,
Good.
I don't,
Just
I
to
need
move
to
it,
be,
yes, all right.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think I can reach out as rules chair. I can't right now confirm as a judge. I'll reach out to you for drafting of statutory changes, but I will certainly talk to Terry and figure out how to get this in front of you.
And I
Right,
think
and-
there isn't Judge McClintock in particular, he's not on the Rules Committee, but he takes a keen interest in in
Judge McClintock.
this area of the law, so
We got his name here.
Yes, I wrote it down. Keen interest. Thank you very
But
much.
this, I mean, didn't I have like a task force or something like that in the miscellaneous judicial bill? To get input from probate and then Senate judiciary, kick it out?
Otter.
Okay,
So maybe we need to do it again.
right, yes. Great, well, thank you. I think that is all of your agenda items, right? Yes, I'm looking. So let's move on because we're behind time on our agenda. And we have, it's a great treat to have the Honorable Justice Dooley with us today, who is Chair of the Advisory Committee on the Rules for Electronic Filing. Here to present a few different rules to us. I'm going to turn it over to Justice Dooley.
And we have to vote on the promulgated ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, John, our favorite. Yippee.
He's muted.
Oh, can you hear us?
Muted, Justice Dooley.
John, we can't hear you. I don't have his cell, I'd text him.
Yeah, now, how, you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Welcome.
I don't know how that happened. I was saying that I'm always pleased to appear before this committee. In earlier parts of my life, I was the reporter for Civil Rules at the behest of the Supreme Court. This is before I had other reasons to be in Montpelier. And it was this committee was just forming at that time. So I've been before this committee in its very early days, and now well, I'm 81 and I can't call these early days anymore. So I'm here as the chair of the Electronic Filing Rules Committee. A little bit about it. It was created when the judiciary adopted electronic filing a number of years ago. It was at that point a heavy lift to determine procedures. We looked all over the country because the software we have is being used in most courts in the country. Yeah, we looked at how they did it, and we were meeting, I think, every week. Some of you may remember, if you were around the legislature in that period, there was some controversy between the bar and the court about some of how electronic filing was being implemented. And so we were even around the legislature to talk about the early procedures, and all of that worked out, as tends to happen, I notice, with technology over time, that there are always difficulties in the beginning, and then slowly but surely you figured out how to live with them.
Well, and we improved them. We did some improvements, as I recall.
Yeah. And so now the issues are less critical than they used to be, and the committee is appearing less in front of you because there's less going on. Things have been pretty much worked out, and I think it's fair to say that electronic filing is working very well in the judiciary now, and to the satisfaction of members of the bar and the public. And so we did get to a better place over that time. Part of it was, I hope to say, as a result of the work that was done on the rules as to how these procedures work. So there are 4 of them on your agenda. I noticed you kind of reorganized because you were interested in those that have already gone into effect. So I'm going to reorganize them that way and quickly get through the 2 that are really housekeeping. I'll present one of them with Terry Carsones, who is there, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But the one that I'm going to do first is the amendments to Rule 9 on signatures. This is truly a housekeeping measure. The rule, when it was originally written, thought the only thing we had to worry about in terms of judicial signatures was court-generated documents. We now realize that documents often come from litigants, and the court signing them, they're of course proposed when they come from the litigants, and so the rule was too narrow, and we're just making sure it covers all the documents that judges used and sign. There were no comments on it. It went into effect. It was the only subject of this amendment. It was voted by the Supreme Court, I think, in October. It goes into effect the 1st of January of 2026. And I really can say it's a housekeeping measure, but I'll be happy to take any questions about it if you have any. If not, I'll move on to less housekeeping.
Actually, we probably should,
We need to
if
vote.
we don't have questions, we should see if we have any objections on this one.
Right, that's our vote, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
questions first? No. Are there any objections to this?
Practicing bar, are you okay? Okay.
Great.
If the practicing bar on my left is okay, I'm okay.
And no comments came in.
And no comments came in,
So,
And no electronic, coming.
which may be a
So
first for an
I'm-
electronic filing rule.
so I think we're good, and you can go on to the next one. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to go next to the one that's first, I think, in your list. And I'm going to ask for help here with Terry Carsones, because this actually is a rule that was not drafted by the Electronic Rules Filing Committee. Our role with it is to take comments. The comment period has ended. It just ended, and there were no comments. So that's the good news about it. But it really came from the court administrator. So Terry knows the drafting history. I don't do it. So I would ask her to present this rule. I see she's there.
She is.
She's
And her
ready.
cookies. And you're missing her cookies.
So,
Yes, I know. It's a problem with, we just had a rule meeting, by the way, and that's what I miss on remote meetings.
so Terry, would you introduce yourself and then feel free to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Justice Dooley. Terry Corsone, State Court Administrator. And I'm happy to address what's listed as number 5, emergency rule regarding Vermont Rule of Electronic Filing 5D1. And this committee did review another amendment in 2021, but I know there's new members, so I'm happy to give a brief overview of the reason for the amendment then, and then the kind of amendment under review today. The amendments have to do with a case that was filed in the Federal District Court, Courthouse News Service versus Gable at that time. And it was connected to the rollout of e-filing in 2020. And in the course, you may or may not recall, but electronic filing was rolled out in March of 2020, as was electronic case management. Ian, were you practicing then?
I was clerking then. So I
Okay.
kind of saw it before and after.
Right.
And I saw it in the crazy rollout. Yeah.
And it started in Wyndham.
It started in Wyndham.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
So March of 2020, if that date timeframe rings a bell, it was.
Rang a bell.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? This is a building evacuation. Gather your belongings in the apartment and reach and evacuate the building and using the designated route from your area to the closest stairwell or exit. Assemble in your designated area and check in with your fire and life safety for departure.
So we will, go off of live
Yes. You as well?
and we'll